Hello, this is Skylit Lake reading Wine and Dine in Spite by Midoriya Izuku. Chapter 1. New Normal. If there's something that Izuku likes, it's normal days. Sure, he likes them now more than ever, particularly because now normal days include days where he's not on the verge of death, and because it means he can be a normal teenager. But he had normal days since he was in middle school, a poor, bullied, quirkless kid. But that's because normal days meant no hurt, or suicide threats, or going hungry. Normal days were nice. There are 3 things that a day needs for it to classify as a normal day. They all have to be met, or else it is not a normal day, but rather a boring day or a bad day, or even a good day. But no, normal days have requirements. First, he must be able to complete at least one regular, pre-planned activity in its intended way, which he must have had an idea of without any interruptions aside from water, food, sleep, or bathroom breaks. An uneventful day could count as a normal day fulfilling this requirement. Second, a normal day must be void of any unintended, unplanned, pleasant or unpleasant interactions with anyone outside of the members of his class, school, or his mother. Third, and this was the hardest, a normal day must be void of any threats, harm, or problems with himself, his family, his school, or, more recently added, his friends. And the fourth unspoken requirement is that it must not be a holiday or otherwise special day. So yes, getting a normal day was very hard. Today was shaping up to be a very normal day. Extra good. He'd gone shopping with Ochako and Tenya, and had a great time very normally buying his favourite merch with absolutely no issue at all. No card mix-ups, no lack of supplies like always. They'd gone to lunch and no one had spilled their food, no one had gotten food poisoning. They'd come back to the dorms and even walked by Kachan without him shouting anything at them or even threatening murder. So yes, this was definitely a very normal day. He was delighted. That is until they were sitting in the middle of Chako's room, sharing a pokey and watching a rerun of her favourite movie. Bundled up in blankets and with the lights dimmed low, the door slammed open. All 3 of them jumped in surprise and turned to see the disturbance. There, in Izuku's favourite hoodie he had lent him, dishevelled hair and messy clothes, hand in his hair and barefoot, a strikingly attractive face, Todoroki Shouto, standing there with a worried face and red-rimmed eyes. "I don't want to officiate your wedding." Ding ding ding. There goes Izuku's normal day. It would take an average, sensible and reasonable person a grand total of 6 minutes while in a conversation with Shouto Todoroki to realize he was socially inept. Yes, that seems to be very abruptly said, but it is the way in which Shouto would describe himself. Thus, the social ineptness. This is not due to any particular problem in his life, but rather is because of the added stress of having been born out of a quirk marriage, having had half his face burnt off by his own mother, and having watched that mother be abused for a lovely total of 7 years, just then to undergo that abuse himself for the next 9. Oh, he's doing that trauma dumping thing again, isn't he? He's working on it with his therapist. Apologies. He's never been particularly good at the whole socializing thing, that is. Always some kind of hesitation, some kind of wariness to people. He wasn't the first one to notice it. obviously. His private teachers had always talked to him about how little Shouto is very shy. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. He rarely speaks. And how Shouto needs to get better at talking to people. It'll be good for you. Hell, even his own shitty father had been bothered by it. He wasn't so much bothered by his lack of friends, but Shouto was characteristically quiet and nonchalant instead of being brash and aggressive like his father. His lack of friends wouldn't have been an issue if it had been a result of his voluntary rejection of friendships. So no, Shouto is not good at making friends. It's dinner time, they're sitting at the table, something they have tried to get into the habit of lately. Shouto is miraculously civil with his father and siblings, although it is significantly more difficult to get along with the former than with the latter. Family meals are much easier now, as easy as they can be, and then, in complete endeavor nature, his father ruins the whole meal. So, he begins, Shouto hasn't been answering my calls. He speaks to the table as a whole, as if that would make it less obvious he's directly angry with Shouto. A moment of awkward silence settles over the whole table as everyone looks at each other, and by everyone he means Fuyumi and Natsuo, since they are the only ones that give each other a knowing look before turning back to the table, where his father glares at Shouto, who is pointedly looking at his bowl of food. His father grunts his way and glares. Anything to say, Shouto? Shouto lifts his gaze and meets his father's eyes with a hint of annoyance. You're right, I haven't. His sister starts getting a bit fidgety as she slides a number of side dishes towards their father, who ignores them and keeps on glaring at Shouto. Why? Do I not call you enough times? Do you get distracted with those friends of yours? Shouto sets his chopsticks down and straightens up. My friends have nothing to do with this. Ignoring you is an entirely conscious and deliberate decision. His father, making a sound akin to a growl, and slams his chopstick on the table. That's quite rude of you, says Shouto to him, especially considering Fuyumi, who put so much effort into making dinner. His father's beard starts lighting up slightly. Shouto, this lack of discipline cannot go any longer. You're not responsible at all. You ignore all of us. You clearly can't look after yourselves, screams his father. I will be sending a letter to UA demanding they allow you to move back into the house. Shouto's response is immediate and with all the amount of shock he feels. What? No. Well, you clearly don't care about your future enough to answer calls from me. Like you care about any of us. His father slams down his plate, anger in his entire body. I'm sick of your attitude. Give me one good reason I shouldn't make you move back here and teach you heroism personally. And this is the moment that seals Shouto's incredibly unfortunate fate. This is also the moment that will lead to the ruin of several very normal days. My boyfriend. Yes, my boyfriend. He will be very sad if I move out. The entire house falls into silence in a millisecond. Enji has stopped screaming, flames going out on his shoulders in a minute, eyes wide open, jaw hanging. Natsuo stops the bite he was taking, noodles slowly slipping out around the chopsticks and vegetables falling helplessly back into the stew. Fuyumi drops the stack of plates she was carrying, the shattering of plates breaking everyone out of it. Shit! Comes from Natsuo instantly, right before he remembers why everyone was frozen. You have a boyfriend? You have a boyfriend? Comes the twin voices of his siblings, face poking around Enji's shoulders to question Shouto. Shouto decides to double down on his decision to lie to his entire family and evasively turn back to his food. Of course I have a boyfriend, he shrugs, hoping to not have given too much detail. I'm a growing boy and everything, teenage years and all. What the hell am I saying? Nanseo looks like he wants to keep asking questions about Shouto's boyfriend, but it was stopped by Fuyumi placing a hand on his biceps, turning to Enji instead. Dad, are you okay? Enji is still standing there, mouth hanging open, hands in front of him as he stares at them. Then he slowly starts closing his mouth, life coming back to his eyes. That's not a good enough excuse. All three siblings snap their head towards him in an instant. What, you're not surprised? Asks Shouto. Or angry? Enji scoffs, sneers lightly. What, about the boyfriend? It's not the 2000s anymore. Modern technology can guarantee worthy offspring regardless. And if it's a classmate in your class, it must be a good quirk. Natsuo gapes again at their father. So let me get this straight. You are A-OK with a boyfriend, but you disapprove of Shouto having a life outside of you? His father glares at Shoto's brother. You mean his disobedience, yes? Natsuo falls into complete silence for a second. You are unbelievable. Fuyumi seems to notice the fight seconds away from breaking out and decides to latch onto the only good topic. Sorry, can we go back to the part about Shoto's boyfriend? Why didn't you tell us? All eyes turn to Shouto as he tries to make his brain work a mile a second to get some answers. It just never came up. Which is a lie, but there's no need to point it out. I ask you about school all the time, she says. She sighs again before speaking. Just some guy, says Shouto, as he in fact does not have a boyfriend, and thus does not know who his boyfriend is. Just some guy? His father demands. It better not be one of the students from the general education. Those good-for-nothings will only bring you down. Shouto then realizes that he is horrifyingly getting relationship advice from his father, who is the last person to know about a good relationship. Fuyumi places a hand on his father's bicep, from where she is standing, and speaks to Shouto directly. You have a week-long break next week, right? Why don't you bring him over to stay with us? She suggests, looking around the room. That way, everyone can meet him and you can spend some time with us and him. No one has protested yet, which puts Shouto on a precarious position. He should say no, revealing the whole thing is a fluke, that he does not have a boyfriend, and that he absolutely cannot bring him over to stay with them. He should also just tell his father that Shouto hates him and would rather die than spend one more minute with him. So he does. Okay. Or not. His sister starts picking up the shards of plate on the floor while Shouto finishes his dinner and Natsuo starts to clean up the table. We did not finish the discussion around the dorms, growled the father. Fuyumi instead picks up the balls and interrupts. I think we've done more than enough emotions for today. We can talk about this later. She smiles at the two of them and continues, Shouto, you'd probably either go to sleep or get back to UA. Right, he nods. Fuyumi ushers him out of the door as Shouto starts to pick up his things, mentally trying to plan the best way to go around this situation. The first thing that comes to mind is to reveal the lie, which is absolutely out of the question, considering the fact that his father would kill him if he was told that Shouto lied about it or to trick him. That would most likely end in a lot of yelling and a lot of fire. Overall, not good. Second thought that came into mind is to try to ask one of his classmates to pretend to be his boyfriend. And that starts a much more finicky train of thought. Who would be Shouto's boyfriend? He tries to go through the list of people who both might agree and his father would be civil with. His first thought is either part of a hero family, top scores in class, responsible and honest. too honest, way too honest for the lie Shouto has to keep up. Ida would rat him out on accident in a heartbeat. His second thought is surprisingly enough Bakugo. First place in the sports festival, top scorer in the entrance exam, effective and fire-adjacent quirk, likes cooking, all hypothetically good traits, if it wasn't Bakugo who had them. Because that reminds Shouto that this has to be his boyfriend, and Bakugo would not be his boyfriend. Which leaves him with the third best option. That's the one that scares him the most. Izuku Midoriya. It's tricky interacting with Midoriya, that is, because Shouto feels so many emotions when he's around Midoriya. It's like his heart is caged up and Midoriya is lockpicking it, trying to make sense of Shouto's emotions, fiddling around to find a ridge to latch onto and unlock his heart. And the very worst part of it, Shouto wants him to break the lock. Shouto likes being around Midoriya, loves it even, makes him feel comfortable and safe, but it's tricky because it feels like his emotions will all burst out of his chest at the first touch, and whatever friendship he's built will be destroyed by Shouto's lack of restraint when he's around him. But of all people Shouto could have as a boyfriend, pretend boyfriend that is, Midoriya is the one he'll have the most normalcy with. Because Midoriya is part of Shouto's normal. He's part of his morning bowl of cereal while the greeneth chugs water after a run. He's part of the smiles, or attempts at smiles in Shouto's case, they send to each other in the middle of class. He's part of the easy conversation during lunchtime. He's part of the afternoon study session or evening hangouts between the two of them. He's part of the loud class dinners and quiet midnight snacks. He's part of what makes Shouto's day a normal day. Now, the only thing Shouto needs is a yes. The door closes behind him as Fumi sends him off with some packed food and his school stuff. As soon as Shouto could hear the click of the lock behind him, he searched for the number. 1 ring, 2 ring, 3... Hello? Midoriya, I fucked up. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this new video. This is a short one-shot with 2 chapters out so far. It's quite a lovely and funny fanfic. Anyways, I'll upload the next chapter soon. It's just that for this recording session and I think for the next few ones my voice is very sore and very tired. Anyways, I hope you liked this one shot and I'll see you guys later. Bye!